Hi. Hi,
Hi.
everybody. It's me. It's really me. Listen, welcome back to the Hall Monitor of the Universe, Hall Monitor of the Universe show, for fuck's sake. We had a technical difficulty with the last thing, so it looks like a crackdown over here. I'm out a ring light, so you just have to deal with that. But I have my very, very best friend, Good Judy, okay? I mean, girl, we have been through.
Oh, a lot. I mean, so much, so much, right?
Um, so where should we start, girl? Let's start about how because that is where we met, right?
The lizard,
The lizard.
the wet
Okay,
lizard.
so back in the day, Miss Dusty here. Wait, first of all, let's talk about what was your you just did a competition. You won.
Yes.
This was a year. So let's what is your title? What's your
Oh, okay.
title?
Well, I didn't win the competition.
Oh, okay.
I just completed a year as the Imperial Monarch of all of Idaho, which is,
Well,
yeah,
bitch, that
right.
sounds like something big.
I mean, and I'm the first ever African American imperial in 45 years of the imperial court in Idaho. So there's that, you know,
Dusty, that's great.
isn't it? I mean, it's
Yes.
crazy. So I mean, you remember the court from Vegas, like the
Yes.
imperial court in Vegas. Okay, so it's basically it's the exact same thing. I actually went to Las Vegas coronation like during my
I
reign,
know.
and
I was trying to get out there, but I couldn't, girl.
oh, it was crazy. It was cold.
Was it?
Yeah, it was cold. It was fun. I love those. I love them, but the city was cold, and it was just like I didn't leave my hotel room. I was like, I got a jacuzzi
Oh,
tab.
well, listen, girl. Vegas. So Dusty and I met in a little tiny shopping complex called Commercial Center.
Ooh, yes,
If
the
you
good old
don't
commercial.
know Commercial Center,
It's your
I mean
one-stop shop.
you don't need to know. But um so it's this lovely what is it? Like a what is that thing called? A mall, like a
Yeah, it
not
was
a
a shopping
shopping
center.
mall.
Yeah, it
Shopping
was a
center.
shopping mall. Yeah,
Yeah, but don't we call that something else? Anyways, I
plaza.
walked in. So how I figured out what the wet lizard was is I went and applied for a job, and this is like back in early 2000s, right?
Oh yeah, like
Yeah, because 9/11 happened while we worked there.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yes. Okay. So 2000, 2001. And my nana was like, oh my God, there's this job. You're gonna make $500 a week. We're gonna get you. So we went like to Macy's. No, no, not Macy's. Robinson May, girl. That's where my nana. Robinson May and Mervyn's, California. Those were the two that my nana would go to.
People are
So
going to be Googling these like two stores. They're like, what the
they're
hell
like,
is
what the fuck is
Robinson
Robinson
May?
May? It's like,
What
girl,
what?
don't need to know. Okay. So she gets me some ugly like button downs and ties. And I proceed to go to this interview and I get hired. And I go to my first day and I get into this room and everyone's like cheering and like, woo, 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 woo. I'm like, what the fuck is going on? And I then get into this beater car with this lovely girl. And honey, if you're still out there, you see me, please inbox me. I would love to know how you're doing. I don't remember your name, but I did love our day together. But I get in this car and I'm like, bitch, I don't still know what we're doing. What is this job? And she said, oh, we're door to door toy salespeople. I said, oh, mama, no. I mean, we live in Las Vegas. It's 120 fucking degrees outside. I'm not going door to door, nothing. Okay. Unless it's from
No.
pool to pool. Okay.
Yeah.
So because the girl was nice, I stayed with her for the day and I'm glad I did.
Uh-huh.
Her car overheated a couple times. I remember, poor gal. And one of the places we walked in to sell these toys was a place called the Wet Lizard. And I walked in, and the first thing I saw was like this like closed up bar. And I was like, what is this? And the guy's like, well, I'll give you a tour. I can't remember who it was. And he took me on this tour. And so I went in the back, and there was private rooms. There was a stripper area, wait, like a stripper stage, right?
There was a pole
The pole, and then it would
with a
like
little
go
box
from side to what?
with a little box.
With a little box, yes.
Yeah.
And then you could either go left or right down 2 hallways. The left hallway was like the restrooms, jacuzzi. The right was an orgy bed.
The orgy bed.
The
Yeah.
orgy bed. Okay.
Yeah.
So there I am, and I'm probably what? If it's 20, I'm 19.
Yeah, you were younger than I was. Yeah, you
Wink,
were, I
bitch.
mean, like, yeah.
That girl, if I could tell that little stupid bitch that that's the best it's gonna be, like looks wise. But
Well, yeah.
so
I mean, anyways.
I mean, now you know what though. I feel better now with who I am now than I did
Oh,
then.
I'm way more comfortable in my body now that I'm
Same,
older. Like,
same.
way more comfortable.
So I said, being this dumb fuck kid from the suburbs of Las Vegas, I was like, "What is this?" And they said it's a sex club, and I said,
Uh-huh.
"What is a sex club?" I mean, no, I knew, but like I didn't even know those. I think my next question was, "Is that legal?" And he said,
Right?
"Yes." So I came back that night. He asked me to come back, and I was going to be a what do they call them? Hosts.
Hosts.
We were
Yes,
a
we were
host.
hosts.
Ho,
Ho.
host. So we were dancers, among
Yeah,
other things,
we were
and
escorts.
I did one lap dance in those
Uh-huh.
private rooms, and I'll never forget it. It was like $30. It was like nothing, and I was doing it for this guy in this teeny tiny fucking G-string from Fredericks of Hollywood. Shout out. I don't even know if Fredericks of Hollywood is a thing anymore, but
I think they're
that's where
online now.
that's where we got our fucking are they online? They had some
I
cute
think
shit.
so.
They had
Yeah,
some
I think
cute
they're all
shit.
online now. It's funny.
So this other guy came in as I was doing it and started to get handsy with me. So that was the last time. So I think
Mhm.
after that, I didn't want to do that anymore. So they had a bartending position open,
Uh-huh.
which in the
A
sex
juice
club,
bar.
juice bar.
A
So
juice bar.
did you know this, that they drank in there? I didn't know this until years later. James told me. They're like, yeah, we're giving them mixers so they can mix their drinks. I didn't know
Yeah,
that.
they would just bring in their own liquor
I was fucking
in their
stupid back then.
bag, and then they would get the juice from the juice bar, and then they'd go back to their room and spike it.
And they weren't just doing juice, girl. I mean, I remember
I
catching people
mean,
with like
yeah, there
drugs
were,
and
yes,
so
yes.
anyways, cut to you coming in. So you came in when I was wait, no, one more thing. Because you came in when I was the manager, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Somehow this 19-year-old ho twink became the manager, and this is how. Because the guy that was managing it, I found a needle that he was
Uh-huh.
using to shoot up. And
So you
I
blackmailed him.
well, no, I didn't do that. I told the owner, who I'm not going to say his name, but I told the owner,
Uh-huh.
and they fired him. And they're like, "Do you want to be the manager?" And I was like, "Sure." I mean, I didn't fucking know. I mean, the only experience I had from that point was Taco Bell drive-through, and I think Planet Hollywood. I think that was prior to that.
Yeah,
The
you said,
T-shirt
yeah,
store.
you had
Yeah.
mentioned that you worked at, yeah, yeah.
So then we put an ad out, and then QU, girl, QU.
So I had just come back from my first stint in Idaho at BSU. And that was right after my car accident, remember? Because I had a car
Yeah.
accident driving there. Um, and I thought I was just gonna break it in big into the porn industry. I was like, I'm gonna go back to Vegas and do porn. I'm young, like I'm stupid. Let's do this. I had made my first porn in the Stratosphere, and then right after filming that, I went to go interview you, or for you to interview me.
Yes.
So, and that was really interesting because my dad dropped me off at the Stratosphere and then picked me up from the Stratosphere and dropped me off to the
The
job
sex club.
interview. Yeah. So,
And
I
if you
mean,
guys don't know what the Stratosphere is, it's this fucking needle in Vegas with a fucking amusement park at the top. Anyways, go along.
a death trap on top is what it
It's
has.
fucking psycho, but anyways.
Oh. So yeah, then I came in and I was like, I interviewed with you and you were like, yeah, you broke it down. You were like, you're a host. This is what you do. And I was like, all right, cool, cool. I'm down. Like I can show dirty old men to the back and like, and I
But it
remember
wasn't
meeting.
like a hook. I didn't say it was like being a hooker, right?
No, no. In fact, you would kind of emphasize the fact of that
That we don't do that.
we don't do that
Okay.
here. And I was like, okay, cool.
Which I think we did. I do
Got
believe
you.
when I was I just lied. That was not the first. There was another guy that I got in the jacuzzi with hosting,
Right.
and we jerked each other off. I do
Oh
remember
yeah.
that.
Well,
Yeah.
that's what I mean. That's what the hosts did. Since we weren't supposed to like hook up with the clients, we would just play with each other, like
I feel like they
in
were
front
like,
of
it's okay
everybody.
if you don't take money. It's like, bitch, we should have been taking money.
Oh, I took money. Fuck that.
Good for
Like
you,
that's why
bitch.
I
Good
was
for
there.
you.
Like I was there to make money. I wasn't there to just
Yes,
like make the
girl.
club pretty. So I kind of had a similar experience to yours. Like I ended up in a room with a client and I was like, why is this dirty old man like drooling on my balls like that? Like, oh, it was so creepy and weird. And I made like $20 off of it. And I was like, bitch, I'm living out of a duffel bag.
It was
Like,
easy money.
it was easy money, but like it was also like it was kind of hit or miss sometimes. You know what I'm
Oh,
saying? Like there
totally.
was
Totally,
times where
totally,
there
totally.
was like we were good, and then there was times where it was like, okay, I'm gonna go sit on the orgy
Well, do you
bed.
think I
And
hired too many hosts?
no, I
Probably.
think we had, well, possibly, but like there was three of us that I remember, and
Whatever
I
happened to David?
was that the other one. I only remember Jimmy.
Okay, do you no, you remember David? I think his name was David. He was originally there. He was a bartender. He was cute, tall, muscular. We took pictures with him for the ad.
Oh yeah. I don't know. I never.
I hope
I
he's
have
okay. I
those
thought about
pictures.
him recently.
I have
Do
a
you
couple of those pictures.
do you have those pictures?
I have a couple of them.
Girl, send them to me. I feel like we should put them in here just so we can prove that we
Yeah, no,
really
I have a
fucking
couple of them.
yeah.
You know what? Hold on.
Because
Hold
those
on.
pictures are like, let's look when we were twinks, honey. We were fucking twinks, bitch. I
Yeah,
remember
no,
too, didn't we cover each other's junks up? Like I was holding, but then like we used a paper towel or something. I was such a prude back then, even though I was
yeah,
working at the sex
no,
club.
we did. We totally did. Like, I remember they're somewhere. I'll have to find them. I think
No,
they're
you're
like right
good.
here. Anyways, so yeah, it was, oh, that wasn't, this was wasting. Oh, it's too
Oh,
late.
it's
Way
hard to
too late.
see. I know what
Anyways,
I know what that is though.
anyways, yeah. So, yeah, and then my life fell apart, and you were like Captain Save-A-Ho,
What do you mean
and
your life
that's
fell apart?
well, that's remember I had that roommate. I was living out of a duffel bag, and I had like this shoddy roommate, and he like got us evicted out of our apartment. And then I was like, okay, well, I need somewhere to stay. And you were like, well, you can come stay with me and my boyfriend James. And then we went to go get my duffel bag. And remember, like he wouldn't answer the door. He changed the locks. He like moved out. And then James was like, oh fuck no, we're gonna go get your shit. And you were like, yeah, we're gonna go. No, we're gonna go get your shit. Like your one drag outfit is in this duffel bag. We are gonna go get your shit. And we drove way the fuck out to like South Vegas, like way out in like development, and went to the dude's sister's house. And James went up to the door, and you went with them, and you were like, "Give us give us D shit, like give us that bag. Where's that?" And sure enough, you
And he
both
had
walked
it.
back out with that bag. You got me my duffel, like, and everything I owned was in that duffel bag. Because at this time, I
Oh,
literally was living out of a duffel bag. I had just ridden the Greyhound into town, and like
yeah.
everything I owned was in that bag. I had one drag outfit. It was a corset, some panties, some pleaser zip up boots, and a little Cindy black bob. Remember that?
Girl,
Because
bitch,
I
yes,
wore
I
that
do,
shit
girl. I
all
wore
the
that wig a
time.
lot.
Yes, we did. And so, and then I remember that's when you were like, okay, bitch, you're no longer homeless. You're going to come live with me and my boyfriend. And like, we're going to take care of you, and we're going to work at the Wet Lizard. And that's
Wasn't
when we were
Tiffany
like,
living with us at the time?
yeah, well,
Yeah. And her boyfriend, that crazy guy that we
I
ditched rooms with.
replaced her.
No, that's
I
right.
was,
Because you
I
did you
was
stay
the
with
better roommate.
girl, listen. Is her name her name was Tiffany, right?
Tiffany. Yeah.
She was nice. Like I
She
remember
was sweet.
wasn't she the one that we were in the apartment and the shooting happened?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And it was fucking crazy. Like,
That's right. Oh, okay. So you moved in with us. No, you moved in with us down like off of Maryland,
yeah.
didn't you?
Mhm.
And then we moved to um over on St. Rose.
Yep.
Fun
Yeah. That
time.
was
Girl.
fun times.
How
And
long
then
did we work at the Wet Lizard?
oh, you had
Were you there?
quit.
Did you leave before me?
I think no, we left at the same time because you quit and I was like, no, well, I'm definitely not gonna hang out here like without you. But I also remember we used to go and get our nails done at Walmart
I do remember that.
for shift, like pre-shift before we'd go into the wet lizard. So that way we'd have really cute nails. Because I did juice bar at one point. I stopped being a
No,
host
no.
and
So
did
you
juice
stopped
bar.
hosting. Yeah, you stopped
Yeah.
hosting. You became, and that was kind of the goal to get you out of that, so you could
Yeah.
be behind the
Uh-huh.
bar. And
Yeah.
then you became behind the bar. Yeah, and then I do believe I started to steal from them, and that's why I had to. It was very much like a you better quit or we're coming after you type of deal.
Well, yeah.
I also remember there was this guy. I don't know if you remember him, and I think about him quite often. There's a couple of them, but a patron. We'll call him a patron. And he
Okay.
was like dark hair, blue
Uh-huh.
eyes, tall. He looked like Dean Cain. Like I remember he was just so hot. And he would come in, and at first he would just come in and he'd walk around naked, like huge cock. I mean, he was just delicious from
I
top
do
to bottom.
remember this
Okay.
customer. This is so
So
funny.
the big bamboozlement was this guy would come in and he wouldn't do anything. Like we were like obsessed with him, and we're like, what is he doing? Who's he like hooking up with? And we would ask the other patrons, and they'd be like, nobody. He's not doing anything. Da da da. Well,
Mhm.
do you remember Halloween? So he came in for
Yes.
Halloween.
Yeah.
So he came in Halloween. He came in normal, and
Mhm.
then when I went to go look in the back to see what was going on, there was this huge person with a Howard Stern red wig on, walking around in drag and like stomping around. I mean, it was obviously not a drag queen, okay, like stomping around, right? So it was him, and he dressed up. So obviously, maybe he was like trans and he was like
Mhm.
living his, I mean, back then we didn't have verbiage like we have today. We didn't have non
Well,
binary.
yeah, and the thing about it is like back then, if you remember, any of the other sex clubs wouldn't have let you in if you were in drag.
Correct. And that, right. So, and now I do remember being like, oh my God, I probably need to get them out of there
Uh-huh.
because we were busy that night.
Yeah.
Anyways, whatever. Cut to, he leaves. The people come up, and I was like, what was going on back there? And the people told me what he wanted to wear, he put on stockings and high heels. Wait, weren't you the one? Were you one of them? The people that
Probably.
hooked up with
I
him?
mean, probably.
And he
Yeah.
wanted people to
Girl,
ejaculate on his
if he
feet.
had money, I was willing back then. I
Girl,
was
well,
like,
then
I'm
you
gonna get this
ejaculate on
cash.
his feet, girl. And
And
I
I did. I
wish,
probably did.
I wish I would have. I would have
Oh,
so came on that guy's feet. He was so
oh,
hot.
he
He was
was, he
so hot.
was. Oh,
And then I also remember, because we had kids don't understand these days, but we had the AOL. We had like a little chat room, and we would go on, and we would have
eh,
our bar
men
had a
for men.
mirror,
Uh-huh.
and we would sit there and type and tell people to like like come to the bar, blah blah blah. And I remember one time I turned around, and there was like four guys sitting there, just masturbating, watching me, and I'm just like, oh, okay. And I just turned back around, just like, boop, 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 boop. I'm just like, I mean, whatever. I guess whatever gets you off, right?
Oh, the good old days. That's when we started going to the Las Vegas Lounge too.
Yes, children,
Remember?
the Las Vegas Lounge, the only tranny bar in town, and we would go. Sorry, I shouldn't say tranny. You know what? I'm allowed to say tranny, okay? Because
That's
I'm
what it
trans.
was. It was the number one tranny bar in
It was the number
town.
one tranny bar in town, and we
Yep.
went. It got shot up. Did you know that? And it shut down.
Yeah, and it shut down, which is
Shame.
so sad because like when I went down for coronation, I was supposed to go with my drag daughter and I wanted to take her there. Like
Mhm.
there's just this because it's like
No, it's
the
nostalgic.
basis of like our drag and where we learned
Yeah.
like all of the stuff. And I was like, oh, we gotta go. And it was closed down. And I was like, oh, that's
This
so
is
sad.
but when we would put on like a little bit of rouge, tuck the sack back, and call it. You know what I'm saying?
Girl, it was Bombell lip gloss and some cream
And
eyeshadow, a
you couldn't
busted
tell
wig.
us nothing.
Nothing. And we would
Nothing,
just
honey.
wear super skin tight jeans with ungodly, like large platform heels and the tiniest tops that we could possibly find. Like pads
Yeah,
weren't
I
an
was always
option.
I was always tube top, big
Tube
old
top,
fucking air balloons as water balloons.
yep, and then a tube top for a skirt.
And a
Like,
tube top for a skirt. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
And if it wasn't a tube top, you made it into a tube top.
Yes, girl.
Whether it
Anything
was
could
like a
be
mini skirt, whatever, it didn't matter.
anything
It
could be a
was
skirt,
tube top
darling.
size. Yes.
Oh, what fun. Girl, I was thinking what was our nickname?
Salt and pepper.
Salt and Pepper. We would have been the sugar and spice on Drag Race.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, totally. Oh, do
We
you
would have been better.
remember? Do you remember the fiascos we used to get into? Like, because we were not old enough to be at the Las Vegas Lounge when we were.
No, and that's the other thing, children. We both were working at a sex club under 21.
Way under 21. But
Yeah.
see, that's the thing that got us our key into the nightclubs, because we ended up meeting one of the bouncers at Gypsy at the Wet Lizard, David. Remember him?
Yes.
And then he was like, okay, well, come in on the nights that I work and I'll get you in the door. And that's how we got into the clubs, like, younger than we were supposed. Like, we were partying. Like,
I remember Sasha's. Remember Sasha's?
oh my God.
And that guy, I had to beg him. I was like, please, please, can I just come in, please? And we would, I feel like we would dress in drag because we couldn't get into places. And a lot of the times we would look more mature if we were like in drag with the heels.
Right.
And stuff. But this was the night we didn't go out. And I asked him, and I'll never forget it. He's like, okay, fine, just don't drink. I'm like, I'm not gonna drink. What do you
We got
drunk?
Bitch,
I fell out of there, just like fucking falling all over the place. Like, girl, no, I didn't just get drunk. I got like blacked out. I'm like, that's what we were doing, honey.
What's so crazy about Sasha's is that when you bring up Sasha's, like, do you realize that, like, that was also the night that, because we did a show there, didn't we?
Yes.
So that was also the night that the Killers came in and performed after us.
What?
That the Killers were the band, that live band,
I remember that
and performed after us. That's the bonkers thing. And we actually talked to them because you were back there, and you're a lot more of a free spirit with like strangers than I am. I'm like, hi, how are you? Sweet, thank you. You're like, hey, how are you? What's your name? What's going on? Where are you from? What's going on? Yeah. So you actually initiated conversation with the band because they were back there.
Brandon Flowers was back there.
Yes, ma'am.
So wait a second. You're saying that you and I shared a stage with the fucking Killers?
Yeah, we shared a dressing room.
And this was like before they were famous, right?
Yeah, right before they were famous, which is so crazy to think about. Like, just think about that. Like,
it's so crazy.
Think about like the drag queens, like the famous drag queens now that we were doing the amateur contest with back in the day, like Chad Michaels. Like, come on, are you serious?
Oh my God, yes.
And that's why it's funny when, like, I live in Boise, Idaho now, and so, like, when these big queens, and they're big queens here in Boise, Idaho, come to town, and I'm like, oh yeah, no, me and Chad go way back, and people are like, okay, bitch, whatever, and I'm like, I show up to the backstage of the dressing room, and Chad's like, oh, Dee, hi. You're like,
oh, I love Chad.
And everybody loses their shit because here in Idaho, it's always been about, like, oh, back in Vegas, like, or when I lived in Vegas, like, me and my girl Chris, like, we would do all kinds of things, like, and people were like, oh, okay, whatever. And then the receipts show up and people are like, oh shit, bitch, you aren't joking. And I'm like, no, I am not.
No, they're not. And like, we ran Las Vegas.
And before we were 21, we were running that city.
Bitch, we so did. I mean, we were like, everyone knew who we were. Remember being Chanel's groupies?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I remember you and Chanel coming to pick me up from work one night at Cinnabon in the Boulevard Mall. You were on a date. Was
that the date that she
took
a nasty shit at Walmart?
Yes. I love it. Yes, it was.
I will say, listen, Chanel, baby, because I know I did a TikTok about this, and I don't think she's too happy about it. But listen, it was more about the whole purse gate drama, whatever the fuck that was. And this is the thing, Chanel. No one. I mean, this is not Dustin talking. This is me. Nobody. We're not mad at you because of like the purse thing. We're mad at you because you're just not. I'm mad at you because you're just not a nice person. Like you've never been a nice person. You're not humble. Every time I see, like I went on dates with you. Every time I see you, you act as if you don't know who I am. Bitch, you know who I am. Bitch, you know who I am. So sit the fuck down. If you want to come on the podcast, though, bitch, I would love for you to come on the podcast.
Oh, you know that would be the tea, honey. I
Girl,
would love
come. But Chanel, we had who else in Drag Race was birthed in Vegas? It was Chanel.
Chanel, Coco Montrese.
Who is the really funny Latin? She always, every time I'm in Vegas, she always hits me up on Grindr. Hey, baby, but you ain't my type. Oh my God.
You know, I'm going to admit something on this podcast that I rarely admit. I don't watch Drag Race for a
this
very
is like back in the
reason.
day. Let me just also admit this. I wish if this mic doesn't work, I don't watch Drag Race and I don't give a fuck about it. Okay?
For a very specific reason. And it actually stems back to Chanel in season 1.
Okay.
Remember with Chanel's big, like when she eliminated herself?
Yes.
Here's the thing. I am the head of a household. I have a drag family up here. I am the head of a 37 strong drag family. RuPaul does not want me on her show because I am better than she is. That is just the tea. I do my own makeup. I do my own hair. I make my own clothes. I'm a drag queen. So
how many
she don't
times
want
did
me
you
on
try
there.
out for the show?
6 times.
What?
Yeah.
Done. I mean,
do you know how many times I have talked to Laura and Paul, the production people, about how I'm just not right for the cast this season?
Well, okay, and I'm just going to tell you one thing. I think now with the way stuff is, they're not just looking at us being these wonderful queens. I think now, like just seeing the Sugar and Spice, and they're probably lovely girls. They have a lot of learning to do. But the reason why Sugar and Spice is on there is 2 reasons. And they're not because they're good at drag. They have a huge social media following. Number 1. Number 2, they're twins. And I'm sure they've been wanting twins on the show forever.
I hate to say it, but they're the freak show element of the show. Like that's exactly what it is. That is what it comes down to.
Well, no, like if we went on, I think if we went on together, it would be super difficult to compete.
Right. But here's the thing. They would play it as if we were at each other's throats. Oh, look at the best friends, like really battling.
Or we would go in and be like, that's fine. Like fucking make it play out like that. Like we're trying to fucking win this shit, bitch.
Right. So, and that's the thing too. Like I think I love what RuPaul has done for drag. I'm not going to discredit that. But here's the thing. I also think that people need to remember that drag is not always a competition. It is an art.
Right. It's not TV. Well, and this is the other thing about drag. The way RuPaul's Drag Race is perceived, it is not like that backstage at drag shows. Drag shows, typically the backstage area is usually so welcoming. It's so kiki time. It's so usually. Now there are queens that fuck that kind of shit up. I'm not saying
sometimes.
That.
Oh yeah, totally.
Bitches out there, but for the most part, it is a very safe place backstage at drag shows.
Exactly. I think back to like our early time, like in drag backstage and stuff like that. Like we had some
Alex and stuff.
Oh yeah, we had some good experiences, but also like that was a shitty backstage experience.
Well,
like,
I mean, I remember people trying to remember that one girl going through my shit, and we almost
like Vegas backstage back in the day used to be real shady. Like you couldn't leave your shit like around. People would be talking like rumor about other people putting glass in people's fucking makeup and shit, and I'm like,
that's right.
You know, and now
we came fully painted though. I remember being like, we just had to touch up.
Yeah, like to this day I still show up fully painted to like I'll show up in my overalls and a sweatshirt, but my face will be on, honey. Like that's, you know, I'm not worried about that. But to this day, like now when I show up to do a show backstage, people are so excited and like there's snacks backstage sometimes at the show. Like Boise's drag community is like no other.
Yeah.
It's huge. We have a lot, we call us the drag things because there's drag kings, there's drag queens, there's in-betweens, there's himbos, there's fembos, there's
I
all
love
kinds of
that.
things. And it's just a very diverse community up here. Like we have bio kings and bio queens, which are actual men and women that are just putting on face and perform. Like it's so different and it's so like open and fun, and you get burlesque and like fun artistic stuff that just you don't get anywhere else. And then I think back to like when we first started and I'm like, I had to cover up tattoos, like I had
Oh
to
my.
wear certain things that like, now I'm like, no way, like no way.
But also I feel like we we have to give ourselves credit a little bit because I feel like we had no book to look at, we had
Mm.
no social media to look at, we had
Well, we
no
didn't have
help,
RuPaul's Drag Race. We didn't
we had
have,
nothing.
yeah,
So
we had
we
word of
were
mouth.
truly like trying to figure out what our like persona, our drag personas were and who
Right.
we are, what we are. And like even like you said, like I don't know, I forget I have such a specific aesthetic when I'm female. Like it's always
So do
like my
I.
mom
Yeah.
too. It's like I
Yeah.
want sheer,
Yep.
I want my nipples to show. I want
Yep.
as much of my body to show as not shit's not falling out.
Right. See, and so do I. I mean, same thing. I've always
Same. Yeah.
had like this skimpy, sexy appeal, like lingerie feel. Like I wear bodysuits so much now. Like I love a bodysuit because it's like painted on lingerie and people
Yeah.
can see my shape. I got a breastplate and honey, I'm a double D and people love it. Like, it's all delicious. I just go nuts over it, and it's really really fun. I invested in some good wigs, some lace fronts,
Yes.
some
Yeah. Yeah.
braids, some really good stuff. I've been dressing more ethnic lately because I'm black, and I'm one of three major black drag queens in my city. So like I want to be the one that stands out of all of them. So I wear my neon braids. I wear I wear black person wigs because I'm a black person. And people don't see that, a lot in Idaho walking around. So I
Totally.
represent louder and brighter. So that way they know, oh, that's Lady Delicious. She's
Yeah.
crazy. She's a DJ. She does all these other crazy things. Like she's all over the place. So I don't know. I'm just like a walking billboard.
Well, and I think too, like for me, the evolution, like I was talking earlier on another episode, and we were talking about like coming out as gay
Hmm.
and how for me, like coming out as non-binary was way different
Yeah.
and harder almost in a sense
Hmm.
because it was like I was talking about. I mean, I guess when I came out as a gay man, it made more sense because it was like, okay, like I'm told I'm a man, so that there's
Right.
that, and then like gay means I like dick, so like okay, so perfect, so that sounds right. And now that
Right.
we have more like verbiage about all that kind of stuff, it's like no, I'm not like I wasn't born a man. I was born. I mean, in a perfect world for me, I would most likely transition. Like
Yeah.
that's what but I don't feel safe right now in our country. I don't feel like even yesterday going into the salon, I did makeup. I didn't have a wig on or anything, but I wore a skirt
Right.
and like a cute little top. And like even now I still get nervous because I'm like at any moment, I mean, I'm still gonna wear
Oh,
it, but it's so different than being in drag because like drag queens, like Coco Peru said it in the episode. He's like when she said I was in full drag, no one would ever fuck with me. But if I
because
was
there's a
just in
level of respect because you're in
correct
drag. Yeah.
or respect and also I think scaredness, it's like I think people, it's like a big bitch, you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like
Yeah.
this, like, and we can turn. It's like you don't want to fuck with us. It's
Well,
like
and that was a big thing about I wanted to make an example out of during the BLM movement.
totally.
I went online and I really spoke my voice. I spoke loud and I spoke in drag, out of drag. People know what I stand for. Um, and the city that I live in isn't that big of a city. Like I was on the news. I've been on the
Yes,
Pride
baby, you
stage in
were.
front of
Yes.
3,000 people. Like people know who I am. They know what I look like. They know my face. So I live 15 minutes from the gay bar and 15 minutes from my work. So I walk to my bookings and I walk to my work. I am gender fluid. Some days I will be in jeans and a hoodie. Some days I will be in a skirt. Some
Same.
days I will be wearing nothing but a pasty with a sheer bodysuit and some business pants and some platforms. And I do it loud and proud
Yes.
because people know who I am. So when those dumbass hicks who think that they want to mess with Lady Delicious pull up, everybody else around me knows who my face, they know who I am, and they know what I stand for. So I make myself a beacon, so then that way I put myself out there so other people don't have to be afraid. I want people in my
Totally.
community to stand up and not be afraid to be who they are. Even though this world is crazy and they're trying to pass legislature right now in my own state that makes it illegal for me to be a drag queen or non-binary or wear women's clothing in public. Like it's ridiculous, but
It's so important now more than ever to be voting, to be
yes,
talking about this stuff online.
speak your mind. Yeah,
Mhm.
like get it out there, speak about it, share it, like bring it to people's attention. So like that's where I've taken my drag has developed from like where we used to like just get dressed up to go out and like call the radio station and ask for bootylicious, and you know what I'm saying?
No, no,
Like
no, no. Oh, we don't get to skip over that. Okay, so we have to say this. This is
oh
something
my
that we
God.
did constantly. And I'd go, girl,
Every weekend.
call Bo. Call Bo,
Bo,
baby.
Bo
Bo Jackson.
Jackson. Bo
And
baby.
every time Lady D would call Bo Jackson, and I want to do it, but I want you to do it.
Oh my
So
God. Oh my
because
God.
I could do it really good, I think.
It would how would it go? It would go,
It would go,
Bo baby.
Bo baby.
Play bootylicious.
Can you
Oh
play
yeah.
some bootylicious for me, baby? And each time he would put you on the air, and it would always end
Immediately.
bootylicious like that.
Yeah, within minutes. Like
Bo
it was
baby.
like our thing. And it was just a random thing that we did one night coming off the connector, and it became like a tradition. I love it.
I have to say, like, something kind of when you were saying, like, now, I used to sit there and joke and say, I'm going to die at 40. I don't want to be old. I would make fun of older gay men. I would laugh in their faces when they told me they were 40. And you kids do it to us now, which is fine because karma's karma. I get it.
Right.
But also know that, like, we've been there, we've done it.
Right.
We've done it again and we've done it again until we've like learned like what was right and what was wrong. But like
Right.
also know that we're here for y'all. Like
Well, and that's
I
the
don't have,
thing. Like
yeah.
that's why I have a drag fam. Like, I mean, who would have thought that I would number one, when you and I first started doing drag, who would have thought that I would become an imperial monarch of a state? Like
I mean, girl, I
we
knew big things were gonna happen for you. So
but we used to laugh at the idea of being in the court. We were like, no, no way, no way am I going to join the court. And now here I am, the 44th monarch, the first monarch to ever introduce non-binary titles into the Idaho titles, like at all. I raised $40,000 in 1 year for my community. So that
awesome.
all goes back to HIV/AIDS research, trans community, not like all of that goes back directly to the community. I am the head of a household of 37 drag things. Like I just, and every time I hit the stage, my performance is for something. Or every time I put makeup on, it's for something greater than myself, which is so bonkers to
Well, and I
me.
think that's so important to say because it's like we used to do it for funsies.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
still do it for funsies. Like this is fun
Oh, I
getting older.
totally get dressed up and like like for to
Totally.
promote myself. Yeah.
But I also feel like I have a responsibility now
Yes.
to continue being who I am, who I'm evolving into, and to show
Exactly.
kids that it's okay to do this and be, you know, regardless of what we're seeing in the news, regardless of what we're seeing our state legislatures doing, regardless of what we see these Congress doing, regardless of all these different things that these attacks on trans people, these attacks on queer people, the Don't Say Gay bill, you know, all these different things. Just know for every time that they do this, we will be there to
Yeah,
fucking counteract it.
exactly. Exactly. Which is so, I think what I always tell people when I perform or when I host a show is that everybody needs to lead with love. Like if you lead with love and you do something with a purpose, always forward, never back, and you're good. Like you never have to worry about or like be worried about what you're doing if you're just doing it for love for somebody else. And if you're always making a step forward and never backward, then
Well, and not
you're
so much
always
like
going somewhere.
I don't
Like
think you
use
and
your
I were ever,
platforms. Like as
you
long
and
as
I
we
were
use
never
our platform.
malicious. Yeah,
No,
you and I
ever.
were never like
No.
malicious people. I
We
mean,
were
I can,
very humble. We were very thankful for every opportunity that we ever got and that we were given. And I think that's what made us different from the other Vegas queens that we were like, thank you.
um, real quick, because we're gonna have to wrap this up, but I gotta say,
Okay.
do we remember Brandon? I think about this all the time. Okay. I'm not
Backup
gonna say his
dancer,
last name.
backup dancer for Brittany, Brandon.
No, Brandon, you know, you probably are still in contact with him. Brandon from Gypsy, the
Yeah. Oh,
manager.
yeah, 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 yeah. Uh-huh. Yeah. Okay.
Do you
Yeah,
remember
yeah,
what he
yeah.
did to me?
Yes.
So I still think about this, like to this day,
Hmm.
but Brandon comes up and I was very thin at that point. I may have had like a teeny tiny little pooch, okay? Little small Gap shirt on, whatever. This guy Brandon walks up to me and Dusty, grabs my fat on it, like, and grabs it and goes, looks at Dusty and goes, "What you been feeding her?" Mortified, mortified. So Brandon, if you're watching,
That's
but
why
okay, what I was going to say
I
about that,
love
because
it.
now obviously I just want to say that because I hate him. But what I'm going to say about that is, kids, I wasn't fat.
Mm-mm.
I wasn't fat. Brandon came up and imposed himself because of his bullshit on me, on him.
His
Sorry,
own insecurities.
his own shit, and he put it on me because of whatever he was doing. And he always looks great. Like, I'm sure it takes him a village to fucking look like that. He's probably crying, starving all the time. But the last time I saw him, he looks great, right? But that's all about him. Don't take these people seriously when they say bad shit to you, because it's not real. Know your worth, know you, know that you are fucking fantastic, and know that there is nobody else like you. You are you.
Beauty comes in all shapes, sizes, colors, and appearances, honey. You, as long as your soul is beautiful, you are beautiful on the outside. Don't even worry about what other people think, because
Well,
other people
sometimes
are
your
just
soul may not like
insecure.
compat with be like with someone else's soul, but guess what, girl? You'll find someone.
Yeah, exactly. Like that's the yeah. People are way too critical on what other people think. Um, and we as human beings right now need to not worry about other people's opinions of us, as long as we're doing what we know is right for ourselves and we're happy. We should never have to apologize for making ourselves happy, as long as we
No.
ain't hurting nobody else.
And one more thing before we go. I just gotta say this. You know, people, if you think, if you think that we want your shitty fucking kids at drag shows,
No.
you've lost your mind.
Yo.
That's the last patron I want in a show,
Oh.
is a fucking underage kid. First of all, they're not gonna tip. Why the fuck would I want anyone there that's not gonna
Okay,
tip?
hold on, wait though. Up here in Idaho, we do have a regular Sunday brunch show, and there are a group of children that come with their parents, and these children are amazing.
And
I
I'm
have
sure they are. Okay. And
never,
the
never
joke
had
I'm trying to
more
make, and I guess it's
tips.
a bad joke, and I maybe should be more eloquent about it. But what I'm saying is, nobody, I don't, you know what I'm saying.
If
It's
you got a
ridiculous.
shitty attitude, we don't want your shitty kids attitude too, is basically what you're
Correct.
saying.
And when I
Yeah,
say you're shitty fucking kids, what I'm really saying is you're bad fucking parenting.
exactly.
I'm not saying
Exactly.
your kids are shitty because of you, not because
Exactly.
they just were born shitty. No, you are teaching them to be hateful and shitty. Okay.
The worst thing your child is going to learn at a drag brunch is color.
Girl, amen.
That's all I got to say.
Color and the new
all,
Beyonce, bitch.
right? That's all I got to say. You know, how to be comfortable in your own skin. I'm just saying, you
All right,
know,
listen,
there ain't much
everybody.
to it.
This has been another episode of the Hall Monitor of the Universe show. I'm going to put Dee's information so you can find her everywhere on all her socials. I forgot that I'm supposed to be at Sephora in an hour and a half. I was trying to get my shift covered, but obviously no one's going to be covering it. So I have to pick this pussy up and go fucking do bullshit. Okay. And also, please put your fucking shopping carts away, people. Okay.
True story. True story.
Do it, baby. It's good for the community.
Right?
All right, baby. I love you.
I love you.
Girl, this hair got fucked up. I kept touching it too much. Look at all this. It's all PC now, girl. I'm gonna have to go beat it a little bit. You know me, girl. I can't stop touching a wig, girl.
Brush from the bottom. Brush from the bottom and work
I
your
will,
way up.
girl. Trust and believe.
All right, girl.
Love you, baby.
Love you.
Bye.
Bye.